Welcome to the HCI family of podcasts. We're your source for personal, professional, and organizational growth and development. We share our own original research, explore industry trends, and interview executives and thought leaders from across the globe. Join us for practitioner-oriented content around all things leadership, HR, talent management, organizational development, and change management. Maximize your personal and organizational potential with the HCI family of podcasts. Dean Carter, welcome to the conversation today.
Hi, John. Glad to be here.
It is a pleasure to be with you. You're joining us from Santa Barbara, California. I'm south of Salt Lake City in Utah. And today we're going to be talking about your new book, Employee Experience Design, and to talk about all things great employee experiences and job satisfaction, employee engagement, all the things that help employees have great work environments and what we can do as employers and leaders to make that happen. As we get started, I wanted to share Dean's bio with everybody. Deanie Carter, newly named CEO at Instill.ai and co-author of Employee Experience Design, has over 2 decades of experience as an executive officer for renowned and Fortune 50 companies such as Patagonia and Sears, as well as a board director for private and publicly traded companies. His views on employee experience and future of work are frequently featured in global publications, podcasts, corporate events, and mainstage keynotes. And there's many other things I could share about Dean and his background, but I'm going to pause there. Dean, anything you would like to highlight before we dive on into the conversation?
No, that's a lot. Every just hearing it, I'm like, holy smoke. But I am like it's a nice moment to do a pivot after 25 years of being head of HR. It's actually completely different and a great moment to learn to be in the CEO seat of
Yeah.
a cutting edge AI company actually supporting HR and doing some really innovative stuff. It's actually I'm really loving like phase two. That's the only thing I want to share. Like phase two of career. It's like kind of start over. Like I feel like it's like when I started as head of HR at my first time, 25 years ago at Fossil, you're learning and your eyes are wide open. And now I'm kind of in that same space as a CEO of a tech company and really on the cutting edge of AI, which is really a wild ride every day because things are changing so rapidly. And so I like keeping my edge sharp. And so this keeps it way sharper in this new,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's really cool. And I do want to talk a bit with you about this transition.
Yeah.
It's not a super common transition for folks to go from HR and CHRO kind of roles into CEO roles, especially CEO roles in tech companies.
Yeah, it's
So
very rare.
that I think is a bit unique. But I want we're going to spend the most of our time today talking about the book and
Yeah,
employee
yeah.
experience design. But I'm also just fascinated just because I love the company, your experience at Patagonia, because I'm all about purpose and I'm all about sustainability. And that's exactly what, Patagonia is. I can't tell you how many times I've used Patagonia as an
Oh, thank you.
example in classes that I've taught at the
Awesome.
university.
Yeah.
So I'd love to just for a moment, just hear a little bit about your experiences there.
Yeah. Everything you think about Patagonia is true.
That's awesome.
Everything you know about Patagonia is true, and a little bit more. And there's a lot about Patagonia you don't know, which is even more awesome. That's my view of it. It's not perfect, it's like,
Sure, sure.
it's got, it's a very human company, and so which means it's got some really amazing things and not, but everything's true. I had the delight of getting to know Yvon Chouinard. I spent a lot of time with him. And what people don't know about Patagonia is that his wife, Melinda, who doesn't like, she's very kind of sits in the background a lot. As a matter of fact, she literally sits in the back of a thing with her in a back chair. She also takes a back seat, but she is a really remarkable human being. I work closely with her on culture. It's really important for her about employee experiences. Some of the greatest things about what Patagonia does for employees are really driven by Melinda. Yvonne is really about product and sustainability and the planet. And then she really holds like all the concepts about on-site childcare, traveling companion, all how we eat in the cafe. She's just really about the employee experience and is really, but what you don't know about Patagonia is the work that she did. But every day, what you think is true. It was a lesson in unlearning almost everything I'd ever learned about HR.
Interesting.
every day. They didn't have a head of HR before I got there, and they seem to be doing just fine.
Hmm, hmm.
So, no survey, really no performance review, none of all the junk that, we like to, put into people. And I try to continue that, like not to, over HR, what is actually a really beautiful situation. We did, try to do
So,
some,
so can I, if I can
yeah,
just
yeah,
chime in? So,
yeah, yeah.
like, so all of the policies, practices, procedures, all of the systems of HR, you're saying like all of that stuff wasn't really there because they just already had the culture that was already just
It
positive.
wasn't really necessary. There was a
Yeah,
my main issue was like how do we scale? Because I knew Patagonia was going to grow and it did. And so
yeah,
how do we make sure that we preserve what is this beautiful culture? So my goal was not to change things, but to really understand the DNA and make sure we replicate it and keep the volume turned up as we scale. And we did that. We went from 250 to over $1 billion in 3 years. It just went
yeah,
and
yeah.
we had to really double down on culture and how we hire. We had to be very meticulous about we hiring for values, hiring for, and then adding for hiring for culture plus, not culture fit, and then
Yeah,
hiring
yeah.
always for core values, which is a
Hmm,
difference. We were very particular about not hiring for culture fit, but
hmm.
cultural alignment certainly. But yeah, it's what you think it is. So every single day focused on saving the planet. Not even like question. Every single day helping people do their best work every day so that you can surf. It wasn't you get to surf all the time, but you did get to surf and play if you got all your work done. So,
Yeah, yeah,
and you saw a lot of towels hanging around the company. But I could go into, I'll talk about some of the stories and how that showed up in the book
yeah.
about the amazing things at Patagonia. But yeah, everything you think about it is true. It's
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Always good to hear.
I'm
It's
different.
like it's like when you admire a celebrity, and then sometimes you meet them in person and sometimes they live up to the hype and sometimes they don't live up to the hype, right? And so you're either like really satisfied or you're disappointed.
Oh,
When you have that interaction, and this is one of those times where I'm like, "Oh, good. I'm really glad that it lives up
yeah,
to the hype."
and more. It's just still has a way of saying things that are really beautiful and simple, taking things that are really complex and and being really passionate and determined, very passionate and focused and determined. Because he does firmly believe that the planet is in trouble and he wants a better world for everyone and his grandchildren like that. That's why
Yeah,
he
yeah.
does them. But
Well,
he's amazing.
cool. So maybe
By
again
the way, he was
before we
surrounded by other amazing people. It's just like I could name like Vincent Stanley, the philosopher, and
yeah,
Jennifer Ridgway, who was her best friend, who built childcare, and Rick Ridgway, the greatest mountaineer on the planet, and Kim Stroud, who founded the Ojai Raptor Center and started with wounded birds under her desk. Like I could just name like Yvonne and Melinda get a lot of stuff, but they surrounded themselves with amazing people that they let be amazing. Does that
that is so important, and that sometimes gets lost because we really do tend to put a spotlight on the top leaders, which is important, but really great leaders are the ones that surround themselves with great people and then they set them loose and they let them be great, right? And they empower
Yeah,
them and they support them to show their greatness and they're not threatened by the
yeah.
greatness of those around them, right? Yeah,
Yvonne
I
said
love
I'm
that
terrible at
you
running a
said
company. He never was CEO. He never was
yeah.
CEO of the company. He's like, I'm founder and I'm a terrible CEO. So he was brought in amazing people like Chris Tompkins, who was CEO for a long time and ended up, marrying Doug Tompkins, who was the founder of North Face. And anyhow, that's it's a series. And Rose McCurry was an amazing CEO that I had the chance to work with. A lot learned from her. And I just, yeah, there were just so I can't even number the number of amazing people every day I got to have lunch
Yeah,
with.
yeah, it's a good reminder that we really should surround ourselves with the best people. We shouldn't be the smartest person in the room. We shouldn't be the best leader in the room. Like we should surround ourselves with really awesome, great people and then unleash them. That's the mark of a really great leader.
Mm.
Talk to us just a little bit about like your transition from, leading HR into the CEO seat at a tech company.
Yeah, I've been somewhat meticulous about this. So at Patagonia, for example, when I took the job, general counsel and the CFO reported to me. So it was a very unusual job. So I did have the opportunity to fly at that level. And
Hmm.
then I've done a couple boards, which gave me exposure to a lot of CEOs. And I've my goal in life wasn't actually to be a CEO someday. I loved the head of HR job. But to once you're the head of HR for Patagonia, you're like, what do you do after that? It was like really, I tried, a couple other companies, and I tried consulting, and I just thought, gosh, how do I keep my my saw sharp, and still continue to be involved with the industry, which I love? How do I still connect it to the profession? And this was a really great way for me to do it. I just manifested it, and so. I've been really close to the CEO job a couple times with a healthcare company. Even a couple of companies kind of that was like the heir apparent to move towards that, and I decided that was the direction I want to go at the time. But this was the perfect alignment. It's the founder is amazing. Another amazing founder, Hame Watt, is just a spectacular human. The second thing, it is doing the thing that I've tried to do all my career. So we've done a lot of things around, culture, of course, is a huge thing. You've done tons of research, I'm sure, on it and the importance of like great cultures and how they drive business and outcomes and profit and everything. But we've never been able to measure it. It's been always this fuzzy thing. So we invent a lot of things around it, like the annual survey or pulses. And so, and by the way, did you know the Gallup 12 is 27 years old?
That's crazy. Time
Guess
flies.
guess how much those 12 questions have changed in 27 years? None. So we're
Yeah.
still using a system built 27 years ago and everything has changed. So that's what I'm excited about still. It actually sits in the room with me and you doing this conversation and a bunch of like experts are in the room observing our behaviors and how we're impacting culture, trust, psychological safety and innovation and collaboration and all these things that are markers of culture that we attempted to fake the survey to say, it's, here's how I feel about things today, which was like a marker of how you feel on a single day, which could be different than tomorrow and different than the next day. I always compare it to the annual surveys, like taking a photo in Salt Lake City right now and then showing up in July. You're like,
Hmm. Hmm.
you'd be very hot. And that's, we have in a moment, and that's what I'm excited about it still. We have in a moment to really do the things we've always wanted to do as a profession, like have data and information just like finance does every single day. Now we have employee data every single day. So I'm just taking that message to the market now. Guess what? It's not now we don't have a seat at a table. It's a new table. It's just been flipped. Like
Hmm. Hmm.
it's not the same table. It's like everything has changed. So we have to think about it. It's not even a table anymore. It's like a space. And it's really cool to operate in this new world and be a shepherd of it. So that's why I'm excited about it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's super cool, and I'm excited to see how things continue to
Thank
develop
you.
for
Thanks for asking
you
that
and
question. I
at
appreciate
the
it.
company. Yeah. Well, let's take the rest of the time and talk about this new book, Employee Experience Design.
Yeah.
I love the title and I love the focus because I think, you referred to the Gallup Q12, which has been so important, played a huge role for the past nearly 3 decades. There's decades worth and thousands of studies on job satisfaction, employee engagement. There's like all these different, from an academic standpoint and from a practitioner standpoint,
Yeah.
studies and reports that have been out for forever, looking at these different constructs and trying to create a great workplace. And there's greatest places to work lists, right? There's all these different things, and it comes back to employee experience and designing a great employee experience. We talk about customer experience. We talk about all these different types of creating great experiences, right? And I think the focus has started to shift really more towards employee experience. How do we make sure that the holistic employee
Yeah.
experience, from the time that we start to recruit, right, all the way through applicant experience to onboarding, all the way through the entire employee life cycle, that
Yeah.
that experience is a positive experience, recognizing that the fight for good talent is an ongoing challenge and it's going to continue to be an ongoing challenge. So talk us through just a little bit about like why this book, why now,
Yeah.
and like what are some of the core components that you feel are like just so vital to
Yeah.
employee experience at this point in time.
Well, we didn't know how vital it was until we launched the book. And because we thought we'd sell like 6 copies. And it's like within 2 days of a LinkedIn post, it was like #1 bestseller on Amazon and it's continuing to like be on fire and a couple HR categories and culture. And then we just launched hard copy and it went back up to, a top bestseller again. So we're just thrilled and honored. We never wanted to write a book, honestly, me and Mark and Sam. But we had some things that tipped in the favor of doing that. So Samantha, who is in New Zealand, she called Mark Levy, who's one of the co-authors, because she heard a podcast from him years ago about the concept of employee experience in his work at Airbnb. And she said, I want to bring a bunch of thought leaders in HR and meet in Austin for a giant conversation about the new manifesto for employee experience and how do we design it meticulously. So she brought a bunch of people, and Mark said, okay, if you're doing this, you need to call Dean Carter. So she called me, and I couldn't make it to Austin, but I was involved in the process, and so we wrote this manifesto. And then 2 months later, 3 months later, we went to Bhutan. So we just all happened to be on the same quest together. And
Mhm.
on the quest to Bhutan, we started talking about, maybe the time is right to share what happened at Airbnb, to talk about the stuff that happened at Patagonia, to share that that's really amazing work that Sam is doing. And we're all different. We're all coming from different ways. The experience at Airbnb is very different than Patagonia, and Patagonia is very different than the work in New Zealand, but they all had some patterns, and we started talking about this kind of similarities in the patterns. And that's what we end up in the book is like we didn't want it to be it's a handbook. And you'll notice the word AI is not in the book anywhere because we want it to be endure, because there's going to be another thing. We could have started the dot-com bubble. It could have been like a million
Right.
things in here. So we just craft some models. And we also said we're not the only ones who create an amazing experience. Let's bring in some of the most amazing leaders also into the Greg Pryors and Beth Grouses and all those people to share, Michelle Bonafilo, have them share their stories too. And so what we did was we have some North Stars that like, this is what has to be, several models that you can pick and choose them depending on where you are. And then like the must-haves in terms of mindsets. And that's the shape of the book. You literally can move through it. It's meant to be like torn up and highlighted and crushed and coffee spilt on it, and I hope it's just destroyed. I hope it's not pretty sitting on a desk and has like a dust on it. So we designed it to be human, accessible, relatable, usable, practical. And that's what the feedback we're getting a lot from it. Wow, this is like it's a page burner. I'm like changing several things on it. So and it's an HR book that's a page burner, which is kind of funny. But that's what so the models, I want to call out a couple things that I think are important. The first one is called moments that matter. And I want to talk about a moment that mattered for me and the first time I really got it about what an amazing employee experience is. And you're going to relate to this because it's a Patagonia story. So I had just left 5 years at Sears as the head of HR, not just Sears, Sears and Kmart. And I interviewing for Patagonia. And I went to, and I was staying in a hotel near campus. And I got an email the night before my interview from the recruiter. It said, "Hey, Dean, just to let you know we're going to be a little delayed for your interview tomorrow morning. So we've left a wetsuit and a surfboard in the lobby in case you want to catch a few waves in advance of the meeting. We're so happy to see you." Okay. I just wanted to say yes, like right then. I just wanted to say I'm in. So that was my first so I walked to campus and I walk in and there's this guy. His name is Chipper Bro. And he greets me, Chipper Bro, and hi Dean, I'm Chipper Bro. So glad to see you. We've been looking forward to have a seat. Just get some coffee, and then I go in there and there's like people with children like running all over, eating oatmeal and smiling, and I'm like, this is like the weirdest place I've ever been in my life. I've never. So anyhow, that and the whole experience was spectacular. Like just over and over, just an affirmation. And then my onboarding, we went to the beach and Chipper taught us how to surf in the sand. I call it a Patagonia PowerPoint. Like he's like drawing pictures, and you do this, you're gonna jump and you do this, and the wave looks like this, and you're gonna read the water like this. I got in a suit, had the time of my life. Like I was like, I've never surfed before. I'm like 50. And I'm in the water with a lot of other people, like, holy smoke. So anyhow, that's an example of like a designed experience, of my first experience, and it's a moment that matters. It doesn't start at the time you take a survey and find out things are wrong. And then you have to design it and fix it. It starts from day one because your start place is the place, and it only gets worse from that because you get buyer's remorse. So the start is the most important moment because you want it to be as high, you want them to be as stoked as possible because everyone has buyer's remorse. Like, did I really make the right decision? And then right after we hire them, I do a thing where I meet with every single person that's hired. I met with every person hired. And so did Yvonne, so did Rose, everyone. Okay, sit in a room. Tell me why you joined. Why did you join Patagonia? And they would tell their story. And let me tell why we picked you. Because you're this, because you're passionate about the climate, because you're an activist, because you're surrounded by other people who are doing this kind of work, because you love to be outside and you really think this planet needs a little love, and just go around the room. And so then just one more experience. And we do this in a warehouse surrounded by dirty product. Like, it's not fancy. We're not, nothing about this is fancy, but it's just really real and human. But I compare this to a buddy of mine was head of HR for a gaming company in LA. So I went to visit him, and it's like served Red Bull, and I had an opportunity for a bourbon shot. And then everyone's on couches. There's giant gaming screens. It's screaming, and lights are blinking, and most of it is dark because they're playing games. And I got headphones on. And I thought everyone here would die at Patagonia. It would be the worst place in the world to work. And everyone at Patagonia would die here because it would be the worst place to work. So that's the part about, designing experiences to copy Patagonia aren't the right experiences. Designing a period company, gaming company you have to design the experiences for the people that you're hiring and design those meticulously because the alignment of the values and those are so important. You have to affirm them. I call it like you let them be the humans you hired, is my phrase. Let them be the humans you hired. If you hire people who love the planet, then let them love the planet. If you just want to be inside all day and play games, let them be inside all day and play games and drink Red Bull. So that's the trick. It's not like you need to replicate what we put in the book, but you need to take the concepts and things and apply them to your particular company and turn the volume up in big ways.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you're absolutely right. It totally depends on the people and their values and what's important to them, right? And everyone's different. And so it's just important to hire accordingly and to establish the culture accordingly. So Dean, this has just been a great conversation. I know we've only scratched the surface.
Okay.
I know at the time I need to let you go and get on with your busy day, but before we wrap things up, I wanted to give you a chance to share with the audience how they can connect with you, find out more about your work, your
Yeah.
team, where they can find your book, and then give us a final word for today.
Okay. You can always connect with me on Dean at Instill.ai. So Dean at Instill.ai. Very, very easy. Dean Instill.ai. And you can connect with any of us on LinkedIn always. So we're very responsive on there. So you can connect with me or Samantha Gadd or Mark Levy, and we can answer questions about the book. We are frequently on podcasts. A lot of people are doing book clubs, which is very cool. And we're always welcome. We always love showing up and answering questions and being a part of other people who are bringing together to talk about the book. So I want you to use it. It's practical. It's a guide. Take a look at it, make it yours. This isn't designed as like copy it. It's meant to inspire. So know your North Stars. Take some of the mindsets and pick which ones fit with you. And then take the frameworks and make them whichever fits with you at the moment. So I hope you use it. I hope it's helpful. I hope it's destroyed. And yeah, and I think that in this moment, more than ever, it's so easy to let AI take over and be the one that designs the experiences. And I think you can't let that go even more in this particular moment. We have to be meticulous about the experiences we design and let AI help us design.
Yeah, we have to be intentional. We have to be strategic, shoot for alignment. I love it. Dean, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure. I encourage the audience to reach out, to get connected, find out
Wonderful.
more about what Dean can do for you. Check out the book. And as always, I hope everyone can stay healthy and safe, that you can find meaning and purpose at work each and every day. And I hope you all have a great week. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the podcast. We hope you stay healthy and safe, and please join us again soon.